Hi you guys, and welcome to another fishing report. My name is Guy Jeans. Today's report I'm going to be talking about the upper Kern, the lower Kern in Lake Isabella, flies to use, techniques to use, and locations to go and that sort of thing. Water flows, water temperatures, all that good stuff. Before I unpack all that stuff, please subscribe to the channel. The channel's growing. We're almost up to 5,000 members now. You know, right now there's about 20,000 people, 20,000 of you watching this fisher report that aren't subscribed. So if you guys aren't subscribed, it helps the channel out. I can do more of these reports and it's much appreciated. So let's go check out the upper Kern. Okay, so let's check out the upper Kern. So the upper Kern is flowing about 200 CFS, somewhere in there. And the flows, as you guys can see behind me here, the flows are down and very wadeable. This is the time of the season where the water comes down and you can get out and wade across the river, get to areas that not a lot of people fish. Water temperature, I just took the water temperature with my trusty little temperature gauge here, 60 degrees, pretty prime. So 60 degrees is a great water temperature. The water is going to stay at that temperature until later in the week, so it'll actually cool down. Weather pattern, we're getting down to the low 70s for a high here in Kernville. So expect to be back in waders and that sort of thing. So some of the flies that you guys want to be using, it's going to be a nymphing game right now, maybe a dry fly with a dropper, but nymphing stonefly patterns. Smaller stoneflies, you know, in the 14, 12 type range are getting the job done. Tungsten yellow sallies, the coffee cup stone is a great fly to use. Any of the stoneflies that you find in our store, some of the golden type looking stoneflies are going to be the ticket. Dry flies, we're not seeing too much of any hatches going on, maybe a little bit of caddis in the evening, but as far as like fish coming up and that sort of thing, we're not seeing a lot of that. So the dry fly game is probably going to be off into a couple more weeks. Check that out for sure. Can you fish streamers? Absolutely. You know, streamers are my favorite. I love fishing streamers. So you can use olive and black woolly buggers, anything that's pretty small in the small range, you know, size 6, size even smaller, size 12 buggers, you know, mini buggers, stuff like that. That'll be a lot of fun. So pocket water. Places to fish, you know, the 20-mile section is basically a roadside section, so you could drive up from Kernville all the way up to the Johnsondale Bridge, fish at roadside. The section here behind me is coming out from the powerhouse number 3, and so the flows are going to be a little bit higher if you go above the powerhouse. So if you go above the powerhouse, flows are about 90 CFS, so that goes up for about 15 miles, and then it'll get bigger again, you know, in the 200 range. So something to think about as you're fishing the upper Kern. Again, places to go anywhere along the 20-mile stretch, you can have a great time. If you want to get into wild fish, go above the Johnsondale Bridge, hike in as far as you can. Also go into the golden trout wilderness. All those areas are fishing really well. Water temperatures as you go upriver, they're going to cool down. So just keep that in mind. The temperatures down here in town are going to be a lot warmer than if you go above the Johnsondale Bridge and on into the golden trout wilderness. So the whole upper Kern River is fishing fantastic. All right, you guys, so let's talk about the lower Kern. So I've been fishing the lower Kern and guiding on the lower Kern the last couple weeks, and I just thoroughly enjoy the lower Kern. One is the river's mysterious. Number 2, the fish are wild. And you have a variety of types of bass that you can catch. You've got largemouth bass, you've got spotted bass, you've got smallmouth bass, and then you have a hybrid between a smallmouth and a spotted bass called a meanmouth bass. And they are totally fun to catch and just a hoot on the lower Kern. So something to check out. And like I've said in other videos, you know, the smallmouth were put in the river in the 1940s, and so we have a self-sustaining population of smallmouth down there. So that's something that you can definitely enjoy. The water flow has been higher, and I've been floating it with clients, and it's been about 750 CFS. Comfortable, and you can get down the river no problem. It's maybe a little bit on the high side for floating, but if you know how to float the lower current and where to go, that sort of thing, you can have a great time. They've just brought the flows down to under 300 CFS, so perfect prime time to fish the lower current. Where do I go and float it? Well, you can actually float it outside the canyon, the Kern River Canyon, all the way down to Oildale. Those are prime areas that you can float. There's actually 2 8-hour floats in there that you can float, two different areas of water, 2 sections of the river, and there's lots of bass. Some of the flies that I'm using down there are flies that look like bait fish, like clousers. The clouser that's been doing the best for me is a black and chartreuse clouser, about a size 6, and also a white and green or olive clouser, about a size 6. Those 2 seem to be producing the most for me and my clients. Can you fish other ones? Absolutely. Game changer, mini game changers, white, super small mini game changers. Also use crayfish style patterns. The trick to fishing the lower current is to get your flies down and get them down fast. You know, the waters fluctuates there as far as like depth. So you could be floating and it'll be a drop off the side. It could be 10 feet and then it comes up and it could be 2 feet. So I like to have a heavier fly that gets my fly down quickly. Or I'll use a sinking leader, which works really well too. I can cast, get my fly sinks down really fast. Or I'll even tie a AAA or AB split shot about 2 feet above my fly, so it goes like this. So when you cast, it drops and comes down, and when you're stripping, the fly goes like this in the water, and the bass freak out and try to eat that thing. So there's a good little tip for you if you want to go down and fish for smallmouth and largemouth and the other species of bass down there. I have caught other species down in the lower current, like crappie and giant catfish are in there as well. So every once in a while you run into those guys too. Okay, Lake Isabella. We had a huge tournament up here this last weekend called the California Fly Fishing Open. And you were able to fish on the upper river, the lower river, Lake Isabella. And the winning team actually fished in Lake Isabella. And they caught carp, they caught bluegill, and they were able to put numbers of fish on their carts. Although some of the best fishing was on the upper Kern, over 260 some odd fish were caught in the tournament. But just to give you an idea, you can fish Lake Isabella. They're catching crappie, they're catching carp, they're catching bluegill, they're catching bass. And so you'll see these drone shots that I have right here for you guys, that the water has come way down. There's fish rising at the mouth of the Kern River, the upper Kern, coming into Lake Isabella. So right around the Camp 9 area where it flows around Camp 9. If you go down there early in the morning, you'll see fish rising. And so that might be some place that you might want to check out early in the morning, is that Camp 9 area right there. Go down there, watch all the fish rising along the bank right there. It's pretty neat to see. Okay, so something that you can do. We got the upper Kern, which is prime time to be fishing. We have Lake Isabella, which is fishing fantastic. We also have the lower Kern, which you can fish as well, which is amazing as well. So those 3 fisheries, you can come up to the Southern Sierra and explore and have a great time. Hey, I want to thank you guys for watching the channel. We're growing. We just passed 4,000 subscribers, which is pretty awesome. And we're on our way to 5,000 subscribers. And like I said before, you know, there's about 20,000 people watching this channel, as I can see in the analytics. So if you're one of those 23,000 and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It supports the channel, and I'm able to come out here and do more of these fishing reports for you guys. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys next week.